We're live right now.
Yep, we are live right now. Recording on the podcast getting going?
Yep.
All righty.
So this is the start of the podcast?
This is the start of the podcast.
Normally there's music.
Yeah, I think maybe the sound was off. That's okay.
Oh. I have a, what do you call these?
This is a lightsaber.
A lightsaber.
Power off.
Oh, you turned it off.
Oh, no.
Just hold it down. Yeah, there you
This
go.
is like a legit one, too. Like, look at that. And then when you, like, hit stuff with it, isn't that neat? Like,
Yeah.
This is what I want to do to, like, people sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you can, like, you do the spinny thing. Show us how to spin it, Brett.
So, yeah, you can do this and then...
Oh. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. That is, oh, wow. That's fun.
Can you tell that I've...
Yeah.
Played
I'd
with
like
this
to
a little bit.
lightsaber some people in the face with that.
I mean, you could, and it would...
It would hurt probably. Yeah.
Yeah. It's... You know.
That's fun. Anyways, yeah. So, would you here? I can set that
Yeah,
down for you.
I
if
turned
you'd
it off
like.
because I do have more plans for that later.
Oh wow.
Actually.
Okay. Yeah.
So
So what's going on? We've got a podcast today, you guys. As always, share it with a friend, leave a review. We're live right now.
we are
on-
live right now.
What are we
on
live
YouTube.
on?
This is our YouTube. So this is our first live
It's
podcast.
fun. I'm gonna check it out. I want to look
So
at it.
yeah, how's it looking, Hope?
That looks good. We only have one person watching. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it'll take take some time to get people to actually.
It is listed. It's public, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, now there's going to be a few people watching because
This is fun.
there we go. Oh, now you're spoiled with the title.
I didn't see it.
Oh, good.
I wasn't
Well-
paying attention.
Given that, let's go ahead and get into the topic today because
Yeah.
something around this time of the year, we do a lot of long-range forecasting, Michael,
Uh-huh.
and we post it a lot on social media. We talk about what the summer is going to look like. We talk about hurricane season. I was working on a hurricane season forecast this morning. We talk about whether it could be dry or if there's going to be a drought. And a very common comment that I see, not from everyone, but you get here and there, is, we can't even get 10 days from now, right? Why would we trust a forecast
Oh boy.
2 or 3 months out?
Yeah.
And so today's topic is us talking about why you can and why it can be trusted.
Yeah.
No forecast is ever going to be 100% perfect, but there is accuracy in extended range weather forecasting, and it's very important for a lot of people. And we're talking millions of dollars.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that question a lot. Driving around, speaking, and going to different places is, a lot of times people will say, "Hey, what how could we even possibly be looking at 3 months out when a lot of times we don't know, what's going to happen over the weekend or whatever." And it is an interesting question, and I can see why it certainly confuses people or makes people wonder. But a lot of times in overall overshooting or overarching patterns, I have more confidence in a 3-month lead than I do a 3-day lead.
Sure.
And the reason for that is not because the technology is different or, the level of. Here's the difference. The difference is you're worried about exactly where you live. And when we're talking about a long-range pattern outlook for the whole country, nobody's looking at it that way.
Yeah.
We're
correct.
looking at what is the overall takeaway for America in like when someone says, what's the winter going to be like? It's like, well, majority of the country is going to be cold,
Yeah.
colder than normal. That's easy to do. But if you say, hey, what's winter in Chicago going to be like?
Sure. How much snow am I going to get at my house this winter?
Yeah, a lot of times even inside of 24 hours, we're struggling to forecast that. And it's because there are millions of people per square frickin' mile in some places.
Yeah.
And they all want to know the details, and it's just not reality.
Sure. Well, it's not even really reality to get down to, within a couple of tenths of an inch of snow or rain. It can vary. Right here, where we're at, where our office is at, could get 1.2 inches of snow, and the Starbucks, less than a half a mile down the road, could get 2 inches of snow.
Yep.
You can get a lot of variability in a very, very small distance. And
Yep.
so, I think that when you look at things from a long-range perspective, you think about summertime pop-up storms, you add those kind of differences up over a period of time, and it can feel a lot different. But when you look at the big general idea,
Yeah.
you can do pretty well.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. And I think too, it's a matter of, gosh, there are some very bad long range prognostics out there.
Sure.
That are not good. And even just yesterday, I heard something fascinating. And I was told that a particular forecaster thinks that right now reminds them a lot of the year 1968. And I'm thinking, well, okay, I don't know. I haven't looked at 1968, but when we actually looked at it, it's like, whoa, it's not even close.
Yeah.
It's not even. And so it's, is that forecaster saying it's 1968 in their city? Like, is there like a
specific location? Wow,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
just like, you can look and say, okay, well, Indianapolis this year has had this much rain, and these are the closest years to it. But just because we've had the same amount of rain as that year doesn't necessarily mean that it's exactly like that year.
Right.
We could be getting rain one year with 15 different severe weather events,
Yeah.
and then the next year we could have the same amount of rain, but they're coming in, flash flooding events with no severe weather at all. It can just vary so much year over year, which is why you have to get, pretty granular with picking out years that are similar, because
Yeah.
data itself can't always tell the whole story.
Yeah. I think it goes back a lot of this is just the lack of knowledge and education in this field in general. People really do believe that free cell phone weather apps are the end all be all. People really do believe that heat lightning's real. People believe a lot of things that in this particular space that simply are not true, and so it's there's just respectfully there's a high level of ignorance in this field.
Sure.
And a lot of when you talk to someone, when I'm out in the community or I've talked to someone about weather, 99% of the time people are just not right. I'm like, what they say to me, I'm like, wow, where did you even get this? It's not their fault,
Sure.
but it's like, how do you even come up with, where does that come from?
Yeah, well, it's years and generations of folklore and old wives' tales and
Gosh.
misinformation on weather. You
Yeah.
know, where did heat lightning? Where did that come from?
I don't know.
Because it's never been a thing.
Right. It's never.
We've had meteorologists for 80, 70, whatever, how many years
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
So it is interesting how things spread. It's like rumors in high school. You say one thing and then somebody else takes it, and it's like a game of telephone by the time it's done.
Yeah.
Somebody, the whole school thinks something completely different.
Yeah. Here's something I'm thinking as you're talking. Just because it is all related, and I'm trying to keep it relevant here. But 3.5 years ago, I weighed about 80 more pounds than I do now, if you can believe that. And I couldn't figure out why I couldn't lose weight. I'm like, what am I'm going to the gym, I'm exercising, I play basketball, like what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And it's because I wasn't following the science of how the body loses fat.
Sure.
There's a particular scientific formula that is literally impossible to beat, and it's how the body functions. Like, it's how our bodies were created. And it's all about how much food you put in your body and how much you move to burn the food that you put in. Long story made short, I'm 37, almost 38 years old. For 34 years, I had no idea. I didn't know. I didn't understand it. Not the right way. I had my way, which didn't work. And when I started listening it's unbelievable the new understanding that you get from something when you actually plug into it and want to learn how it works. So with long range forecasting, it's kind of the same, because years and years ago, I never really was a long range forecast believer. In fact, you could probably find statements from me about 10 years ago that would say these seasonal outlooks are a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Well, once we really started learning them and figuring out how to do them, as I said a little bit ago,
Sure.
I have more confidence in a seasonal forecast than I do a.
Yeah,
short one.
I would much rather do a forecast for 2 months, 3 months from now
Yeah.
than 8, 9, 10 days from now,
Mm-hmm.
13 days from now.
Yeah.
It's just, it's different. And to kind of go into that a little bit more, you're looking at totally different things. When you're looking at a forecast 8 days out, you're looking at all these 15 different weather models that all show something different, and we're looking at different upper level patterns and different lower level patterns, and there's this risk and that risk and this, and there's just, it's very difficult to come up with a competent solution.
Yeah.
Where if you're looking 2-3 months out, you're looking at kind of a strict set of pattern drivers
Yeah.
that go one way or the other, like El Nino or La Nina, or what's going on in the Pacific Ocean. And you can kind of combine those together and look at what's happened in similar scenarios in the past. It's more of a historical research project than a looking at all these crazy dynamics and stuff. There's a little bit of that, but not to the extent of when we're forecasting a severe weather outbreak. And so it's just a totally different type of weather forecasting.
Yep. Yeah, but I mean, if we wanted to, we could probably here soon, I would say in another month or so, start getting a relatively good idea of what winter's going to hold.
Sure.
You know, based on just ocean temperatures and just the general wind patterns in the world, you know, throughout the world. We look at things that people have never even heard of or talked about, like the quasi-biennial
oscillation.
Yeah, the QBO. I can never say it, but it's winds and it's
Stratosphere.
yeah, it's just other things that that by the way, is not taught in any program to meteorologists anywhere. Teleconnections not taught. It's not. I mean,
really,
maybe some schools go over what they mean.
Yeah, we went over what teleconnections mean. We went over what El Nino and La Nina mean. We even talked a little bit about Arctic amplification, the melting Arctic, and how that could impact the jet streams and stuff, but never got into actually operationally making forecasts. Never really talked very little about the MJO.
Yeah.
Didn't talk about the global angular winds at all.
Mm-hmm.
Never talked about the QBO.
I remember a few years ago. It's probably been 6 or 7. Hell, you've been here for 7 years.
Almost 8.
So 7-ish years ago, we had hired a guy, and super nice guy. I really liked him. And he had graduated from Illinois with a degree in atmospheric science. And I had to actually call the university and say, hey, did this guy actually get a degree? Because what I was asking him, a lot of it, he just didn't know it. And it's not because, he didn't want to know it or that he was an idiot. It was just because it wasn't taught in the program.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, yeah, he graduated here and with honors. I'm like, wow, I mean, this is crazy because some of this stuff is basic.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate for people that spend so much time, effort, energy, and money into their education, and they come into this field with a lot of blind spots. And so just because someone has a degree in meteorology, it does not mean even anything in terms of applications into longer term forecasting.
Sure.
Almost everything we use here has all been self-taught.
Yeah, for
over
sure.
the years.
And I think that goes to a bigger issue of just really focused, the education system very focused on the dynamics and the science and not so much on how to apply it.
Exactly.
It's so important that we're teaching people, and I Hope even made the comment when you started, it's like, I feel like I've learned more on how to forecast the first 2 or 3 weeks than 4 years. Mm-hmm. And it's not that they're not teaching the science behind meteorology, but the day-to-day application of that. If you don't practice that, if you're not actually practicing what you're learning, you're never going to know how to actually do it.
No.
And day to day and year to year, from both a seasonal forecast standpoint and a day to day forecast standpoint, if you're not practicing it, you're just going to have no idea what to even look for,
Yep.
you know, or what certain things might mean. And so it's so critical. You know, I always tell people, the interns that come through here, like, do the weather challenge. There's a
Yep.
whole weather challenge where you can literally practice forecasting 5 times a week or 4
Yep.
times a week. And it just helped me learn. You know, I learn by doing
Yep.
rather than somebody telling me. I learn better actually being hands-on. And
Yep.
so, you know,
But that's not something that the younger generation is being told. What everyone is told is, well, if you don't have a degree, you're basically useless. You're not a meteorologist because you don't have a degree, and that's silly.
yeah,
That's silly. I read once, and I often think of this to my own self, is you don't learn how to swim reading about the water. You know, you can read about water and its composition and how it works and all this, but you're not learning how to swim, and you've got to jump in the water.
sure.
And if you don't, you die because you drowned. So you have to stay afloat, and the only way to learn to do that is to jump in. And so that's the same thing with forecasting in general. Is a lot of it is baptism by fire and just doing it, you know, and learning it. There really isn't another way.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the stuff that we use that we talk about, even to degreed meteorologists, is foreign language. It's like,
Sure.
I don't even, like, I was just talking to a guy the other day, and he's like, yeah, I studied tornadoes in college. I don't know anything about teleconnections. And he's a meteorologist. It's like,
Sure.
yeah, I mean, I get it. You know, it's awesome that you studied tornadoes. They're neat.
Yeah.
But there's a whole other world out there that is, you
And
know.
it's so important because if you think about the extended range forecasting and how much money that drives, you're talking agriculture, you're talking energy markets, you know, how much natural gas production there needs to be.
Yep.
And that doesn't even touch on retail and all these major corporations stocking up for winter if they know that it's going to be a cold winter and can have a stockpile more of winter, you know, weather apparel.
Yep.
It could save them millions and millions, if not billions of dollars.
It's such a big deal.
And
Yep.
it's not really talked about.
Yep.
And so when we put out stuff that you all see on social media, it's because it really matters to people. And it matters, you know, to the individuals to an extent as well. Like, okay, what do I need to do with my garden this year? Do I need to make sure that I have sprinklers for my lawn this year? It probably matters a little bit more than you even realize for
Yeah.
just the everyday person, because if you know in advance that there's going to be a drought and you can prep your lawn for that ahead of time,
Yeah.
probably saves you several $100s down the road of having to resod your grass or replant your grass, reseed it. And so it matters more long range wise than a lot of people think, and we can do it a lot more accurate than a lot of people think, but it takes practice, and yeah, you pretty much have to learn on your own.
Yeah, yeah. It's an interesting topic. You know, long-range forecasting is fun, and it drives the economy. It can drive the economy in
Sure.
many ways. Why do you think? Why do you think that people just don't? How do I ask this? I think when people think about, you know, okay, the Farmer's Almanac,
Sure.
you know, people for whatever reason really believe this. They buy the book. The Farmer's Almanac tries to hit on storms and periods and my goodness, I mean it's really bad.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people know that it's bad, but what's the difference? It's been around for
Long time.
hundreds of years,
Yeah.
over 100 years at least.
Yeah, it's just interesting how it's like a. I think I'm thinking of scripture here, like biblically, like you know, as a fool returns to his mess up is like a dog returning to its vomit. It's like why do we keep going back to something that sucks? I don't understand it. Like I don't
Yeah.
do that. Like if something sucks, I quit using it.
It's for the longest time, it was the only thing there. And it's going to take time and education, I think, on our part to let people know that they don't have to do that.
No.
You don't have to use the Farmer's Almanac that I think is right. I mean, it's been right like 3 of the past 10 winters or something like that.
Yeah.
Or the groundhog, that's right 39% of the time,
Uh-huh.
which is complete luck, by the way. That's,
Yeah,
you know,
it is.
it's just for fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't tell John Kemper that. It's his favorite holiday.
It's whose favorite holiday?
John Kemper, Groundhog's Day is his favorite holiday.
I mean, why?
We're getting off track.
That is just, John, that is the dumbest thing I have heard today. How could that even be? So he
Well-
must probably love the movie too.
He must.
Have you seen the movie?
I don't think that I have.
It's old school. It's Bill, what's the comedian?
Oh, Bill Murray.
Yeah, Bill Murray.
I will say I love picking on John just a little bit,
I do
only
too.
because I love him.
Yeah.
But his second favorite holiday, and then I'll get back on topic, is Tax Day.
That's not a holiday.
It is for him.
Okay. And B, that
He's gonna
is-
kill us when he comes in.
And B, that is sick. Listen, John Kemper is still single, but I got to tell you, John, you might want to update the old resume because I don't think any female is going to go, wow, I love Tax Day. I would love to date John for Tax Day.
We're so mean. Look,
He knows I love him.
We love John.
But, you know, females like Christmas or like, you know, like Easter, like fun, festive, lovey stuff, colorful. Not Tax Day.
Nobody likes Tax
For the
Day.
love of God.
I'm sorry.
Hope,
Okay.
what's your favorite holiday? You're a woman. You're a female.
Christmas.
See?
Christmas. Yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
it's
you can't go wrong with
Love
Christmas.
and happiness and
You can't.
snow.
I don't know how you can't love Christmas. You sit down, you watch an old Santa Claus movie.
yeah,
You
The
know,
lights.
the
Yeah.
lights, all the stuff.
you
yeah.
you watch Christmas Vacation. It just
Oh,
it
what
just
a good
warms
movie.
your heart.
Gosh,
It warms
I could
your
watch
heart.
that right now. Christmas Vacation.
I sing Christmas music like all year long.
Yeah, we like Christmas around here.
Back.
Speaking of,
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say back on topic. I did want to talk about long range forecasts that people do need to be aware of.
Uh-huh.
And there's one in particular that I thought right off the bat that I people ask about sometimes. There's an app, I think it's AccuWeather, that does like a 45-day
Oh gosh,
long
here we
range
go.
forecast.
You're gonna get me fired up.
And I think it's so important for people to understand that's not the long range forecasting that we're talking about.
No, it's
That
not.
is not accurate. I don't even know how they do it. It's a complete guess.
It should be illegal, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, you shouldn't. There should be regulations to what we're telling people, because if you tracked the accuracy of that, which you could do easily with AI, you could start. I would imagine it's 10-ish%,
Oh,
maybe accurate. There's
Maybe.
no way it's any better than that. There's no way.
Yeah. It's a complete guess at that distance, and it's all computer generated. And so when we're talking about long range forecasts, we're talking about general ideas. Like, hey,
Yeah.
let's look generally over the next 15 days, we're going to be a little bit wetter than normal, right? Not you're going to get 1.35 inches of rain in 35 days. It's not possible. That's not possible. You're looking at winter, aren't you?
I am. The new Canadian came out today.
Okay, what's it have?
And I'm like, what's the winter pattern looking like?
And there are models that go out seasonally to give a general idea. Typically, they're a little warm biased for whatever reason, but
Yeah, but this one has fair share of blocking
sure.
with the suggestion of some troughing in the east. But the interesting thing is, look at January and February. More of the TNH possible.
Yeah, similar to last year.
Yeah.
Which is typical. What you do get sometimes with these extended range forecasts is you see similarities year to year with the oceanic patterns, and as a result, you tend to get reoccurring patterns. And so you may think to yourself, wow, it's been so windy the past couple of years, or we've had so much of a drought and dust in the southern plains. That's changing right now, but they've had a lot of that. And it's because these patterns, once they settle in, there's some year-to-year variability with El Nino and La Nina, but the ocean patterns in the Pacific and the Atlantic change much slower. And so as forecasters, we can kind of recognize that these patterns are still in place and that we can see year-to-year similarities.
I will say something that is interesting.
Okay.
From a statistical behavioral standpoint of weather, years following big droughts normally have intense winters.
Yeah.
They do.
I remember that after 1988, that had the latest snow on record for Indianapolis, 1989.
And 1990 was a pretty brutal winter. 13-14 was a pretty brutal winter, even into 15. Interesting to note, we are forecasting a little bit of a drier, hotter year this year too. And a lot of similarities to some drought behavior going on.
Yeah.
So maybe the following winter.
One of the things that it's on Tropical Tidbits, I think, that they actually show the closest matching sea surface temperatures to right now. And that's one way to kind of look at things, to look at some general similarities. Is just what's the globe look like compared to years in the past. Right now, I think the top analog is 2012 compared to
It is 2013.
2013 in terms of the
That's the hurricane.
the hurricane one.
And then it's 2012
yeah,
for
right now,
right
past
now.
30 days.
Yeah, 2012, 2011, 1975, 1974, 1971. But listen, the 70s were harsh winters.
There were. So right,
Yeah.
it was mid to late 70s. There
Yeah.
were harsh winters. And what's interesting, Michael, is 11 and 1974 were two of the biggest severe weather years, and we've seen a really big severe weather year.
Yeah.
In fact, 2011 was our top analog going into the spring.
Yep.
And we've seen the rains, we've seen the severe weather. And it's something that we talked about back in February that, hey, you may have some planting delays in the eastern belt because of all the rain and severe weather, and
Yeah, more coming.
there's more coming. And so it can be done. And that's just one example of a tool that we can use to do it. And so, if you want to learn more about how we do that and general pattern, I think even on the YouTube channel, we have that QR code in the top left. And Hope can throw the link. But our Clarity Home package, you can get our long range videos.
Yeah.
And we try to educate.
Yep.
We try to teach people what we know and not just say, okay, here's the forecast. We don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
We try to keep it simple, but
Yep.
we do try to educate people along the way. And I think a lot of people appreciate that too.
Yeah, it's like anything. The more you want to learn about it, instead of just automatically saying, well, I don't believe it, research it, look into it, learn. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of things you can learn that'll change the way you think, pretty quickly. So it's definitely doable because we do it. So I always love the saying that if someone has done it, it is no longer impossible.
Sure.
Like it's someone's done it. So
Yeah.
like even if someone's made $1 billion, that means that you actually could make $1 billion because they did it.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So like there's ways to look into that. So are we at our time?
Yeah, we've gone over. This has been, I think, our longest one.
Oh wow.
Who would have thought, you and me talking a long time about long range forecasting? We maybe do that a little bit on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's a sickness. It's a sickness. I would agree. But hey, share it with a friend. Thanks for watching. And if you guys have suggestions of topics you'd like to hear, maybe shoot them to us.
Shoot 'em in the comments. What do you want to know more about weather? How it works, misconceptions, myths, you name it. Yesterday we had a lot of questions about cicadas coming out, but we're not cicada experts.
Yeah. But we are social media cowboys, and we can talk about that.
We can. Yes. If you want to know where that came from.
Tune in next week.
All right. Thanks guys
See you
for
guys.
watching. We'll see you soon.